Hey everybody, Dr. A here, and in this video we are going to be exploring a second dead load example. And let's go ahead and get started and look at the given information. So we are being told to use ASCE 716 table C 3.1-1A. So that C means it's in the commentary book of the ASCE 716 standard. But we're being asked to use that table to determine the total dead load in pounds of a 5 foot by 3 foot by 1/4 inch thick piece of plywood. Okay, so if you recall, ASCE 716 commentary, that's the commentary booklet, has two tables that are really useful for determining dead loads that we've talked about in previous videos. One of them is this table. So C31-1A gives minimum design dead loads in terms of force over surface area. So that would be like PSF. And there's another table in here that's C3.1-2 that gives minimum densities for design dead loads of materials. So when they say density, they mean something like unit weight in pounds per cubic foot. But in this particular example, we're being asked to use this specific table. So let's make a note of that so we understand what this table is, okay? So again, table C3.1-1A gives minimum design dead loads in terms of force per area, okay? So that's like, for example, that's like PSF, okay? So you got to keep that in mind. Whereas the other table that we may need to use sometimes, C3.1-2, gives unit weights. So it's a different kind of property. So let's go ahead and explore this a little bit more. When you have trouble visualizing something, draw it out, okay? A piece of plywood is like a flat piece of wood, okay? It's like a rectangular flat piece of wood. So I'm going to draw this out as part of my solution, okay? Whenever you are not given a figure in your problem statement, then sometimes you just may have to draw one out yourself. So I'm going to draw out this piece of plywood, and again, a piece of plywood looks just like a flat piece of wood, okay? So this is it, and we're being told that this piece of plywood has a thickness of 1/4 inch, and then we're given the other dimensions. One dimension here is 3 feet, and the other dimension here is 5 feet. Okay, so we want to know the total dead load or the total weight in pounds of this piece of plywood. This is something you could commonly find at a hardware store, okay? So let's go to that table, C3.1-1A of ASCE 7, okay? So I'm going to say from ASCE 716, from that table we're referring to, if on my copy of it, it's page 426, and it's a little bit past halfway down the page. Now, according to this, it says plywood. I'll write it down. It says plywood, and then in parentheses it says per 1/8 inch thickness, and it has a minimum dead load, design dead load in PSF of 0.4 PSF. So what we're saying is this piece of plywood that we've kind of drawn out here, what it's saying is every square foot of this piece of plywood has its own weight of 0.4 PSF. So if you want to, you can draw a little like a little vector field here that's that's representing its own self weight in the vertical gravity direction of 0.4 PSF. So that means like every square foot, every 1 by 1 square foot of this piece of plywood has a weight of 0.4 PSF, so on and so forth, okay? That's what this means, all right? So let me undo some of my scribbling here. So here's what we need to do. We need to say, okay, it's 0.4 PSF per eighth of an inch. So we've got to be careful here. Let me make an amendment here. 0.4 PSF per eighth inch, okay? So that means if this thing was an eighth of an inch, it would weigh 0.4 PSF. So what do we have? We have a quarter of an inch, okay? So since our plywood is a quarter of an inch thick, then it has a minimum design dead load of what? Of 2 times 0.4 PSF, which is 0.8 PSF for us, for a quarter-inch piece. Okay, so we're almost done now. We need the total weight. So here's what we do now. We say total weight is that 0.8 PSF, because again, we have a quarter-inch piece, not an eighth of an inch piece. And then we multiply by 5 feet, and then we multiply by 3 feet. So if we punch this through in our calculators, we say 0.8 times 5 times 3. So this piece of plywood will weigh 12 pounds. So it has a self weight, or like a dead load weight of 12 pounds. So that's it. That's the end of this quick little example.